We've just tackled back-to-back low downforce tracks, but now we're heading to the most technical track on the F1 calendar, the Singapore GP. Like Baku, it's another street circuit, but it comes with a twist. There are more low and medium speed corners. This challenging track means teams often have to significantly tweak their cars, much like they do for Monaco. In 2023, we saw major upgrades from Aston Martin, McLaren and the Racing Bulls in Singapore. These changes were some of the biggest of the year. Expect some of the smaller teams to bring much needed upgrades this time, and one major team has a substantial upgrade package on the way, as teased by their team principal. We'll dive into that more as we go. Let's start with the Red Bull team. They recently introduced a new diffuser in Baku and are planning to add a new floor to the car. This upcoming floor will be a blend of their original design from earlier in the season and their latest improvements. Interestingly, Red Bull discovered that they made a misstep at the Spanish Grand Prix in 2023. Given their dominant performance and the car's speed, it's surprising but plausible they didn't have to worry much about the efficiency of their upgrades, because Max Verstappen was just incredible in 2023. Max is still performing well in 2024, but his race in Baku was unusual. The car's understeer, which made it handle poorly, seemed to affect him more than usual. Although Checo handles understeered better, Max remains the faster driver. The team has discussed the lessons they've learned from the latest upgrade and plans to apply them in Singapore. There's a chance we might see this upgrade in action here, although Helmut Marko and other Red Bull members believe that the big performance boost will likely happen at the US GP. The car's balance has been quite off, and it will require a lot of effort to catch up to another team that's also bringing a major upgrade that many have been anticipating. Now let's shift focus to McLaren. Andrea Stella has confirmed that they have new updates coming for the next races. He hinted that the FIA documentation will reveal the specifics, adding an element of surprise. It's exciting to see McLaren finally rolling out a major upgrade. They did have a recent car update in Zandvoort, so it hasn't been too long. However, it's really tough to notice any visual changes because they've barely modified it given the car's near perfect balance. The team has been performing incredibly well lately, both in terms of speed and facing a lot of criticism with accusations of having an illegal car. I also made another video about this mini DRS system they've subtly integrated, so you might want to check that out. Now, moving on, McLaren has a new floor design that's been discussed but not yet added to their car. They're hesitant because they don't want to mess up the car's balance and lose their current edge. This season we've seen quite a few upgrades end up being more of a downgrade for the car, which has led McLaren to take a step back. They've decided to delay these upgrades to give them a thorough examination and make sure they match the data from their wind tunnel. So far they've been pretty spot on with their upgrades. In Singapore we're expecting a significant update to the floor and possibly more. Based on the FIA document, we anticipate a pretty substantial package. Remember, the 2023 Singapore package was a game changer, bringing McLaren up to par with top teams in slow speed corners. It'll be exciting to see how this new package performs, especially in high downforce situations. We're gearing up to see McLaren at their best once again. Next, let's quickly talk about Ferrari. They haven't planned any big upgrades for the car, but this time we'll see it equipped with a high downforce setup and the new floor they introduced in Monza. This tweak is crucial not just for next year, but for the current season too. It's key for Leclerc to climb up the rankings and for the team to challenge Red Bull for second place in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari has excelled on tracks with low downforce and 90-degree corners like Baku, Singapore and Monaco. However, they need to figure out if the car handles well with lots of bumps, curbs and slow speed corners. This Grand Prix is essential for Ferrari to evaluate how the new floor holds up under these conditions. Now let's turn our attention to what upgrades Mercedes is bringing to the table. The Silver Arrows had a weekend of ups and downs in Baku with contrasting outcomes from their two cars. Russell can be quite happy with his performance as he managed to climb onto the podium with a third place finish despite starting on the back foot. On the other hand, Hamilton had a promising start to the weekend but ultimately fell back, ending up in 9th place. For the Azerbaijan race, the team decided to revisit their Miami setup to get a better sense of where their W15 car stands in terms of balance. They hoped this change would make the car more versatile, but both Mercedes drivers struggled during qualifying and the race, indicating that their competitors might have made more progress. Moreover, Mercedes seems to still be grappling with understanding this year's Pirelli tyres. Throughout the entire weekend, both Hamilton and Russell voiced numerous concerns about tyre performance, suggesting that this remains a challenging area for the team. The main inconsistency showed up during the race, where the W15 struggled on medium tyres but performed much better with hard compound tyres. Andrew Shovlin confirmed this in his comments after the race. Mercedes now has a maximum of 2 days to analyse data from Baku and find a solution. Reliable sources say the team will bring minor upgrades to Singapore, focusing on brake ducts to address tyre temperature and performance problems. The Singapore Grand Prix features a tight, high-speed circuit. I think they'll be just a bit behind the top 2 teams. Now let's talk about the upgrades from Williams. They've mentioned that the new improvements for their car will build on the changes they made in Zandvoort. These tweaks aim to boost their already strong performance on the track. But remember, this track is quite different from the ones in Baku and Monza. It's worth noting that they finally have a special package for Monaco as well. It's been ages since Williams has managed to deliver a specialised package for a race weekend. However, we anticipate they'll bring some high downforce components to see if they sync up well with the new setup they introduced in Zandvoort. James Vowles has confirmed these updates, so let's look forward to seeing them in action here. Next up, the Racing Bulls are desperately in need of fresh parts after a tough time in Monza and an even worse outing in Baku. Yuki had a rough go in Monza and Ricciardo faced bad luck in Baku. It's not just about the drivers, the team's overall package has been lacking, keeping them away from scoring points for a while now. Let's hope these new parts can turn their fortunes around. The car performs decently in slow speed corners, so we might see a slight boost in its performance. However, their main struggle has always been on straightaways. The new package they're introducing in Singapore should make a big difference. The team plans to implement the RB20 suspension package soon, and there's buzz it could debut in Singapore. More likely, we'll see Kota's aerodynamic package designed to help Daniel and Yuki climb the rankings. Lately, no matter their starting position, they've been slipping down. The car struggles with grip and isn't very fast in straight lines, making high-speed corners a real challenge. Fortunately, this track doesn't have many of those, so we might see a refreshed V-carb, which would be great because the team has been without points for a while. Meanwhile, Aston Martin has been improving recently. They introduced an upgrade to the rear corner and modified the connector from the sidepod area to the floor, which keeps the floor stable on challenging tracks. This change was made between Monza and Baku. The team seemed to be in better shape with good tyre management and the car performing well overall. Fernando mentioned he found more grip than expected, and they even brought back the floor they used in Imola. He managed to extract a good amount of speed. We won't see any new upgrades here in Singapore, but there's a big update planned for Kota. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.